Hello and welcome to Module 8, the module dealing with React. So for this module, the first thing I would like us to look at is the home page. Before we go to the home page though, we will start with the login. The assignment for this is to ensure that there were alerts and there were models on all forms that are submitted. So these are just placeholders for that. When a wrong password is entered and you try to log in, the alert comes, lasts 5 seconds, and then you're redirected to the unauthorized page. When you return to login and you log in correctly, you get the login successful alert and you are directed to the home page, which is this. The home page contains the grid of cards for the agent management and the transaction management card. The agent management card, when clicked, it leads to the agent list, and if we go back and click on the transaction management card, leads to the transaction management component. Likewise, the other functionalities that were included was ensuring that there is a welcome note and the name of the person who is logged in is also written in the navbar, which is here, and the logout button here, which handles the logout. Just to test the welcome, we can try another user just to see that it is going to pick up the correct username for the person who is using the app at the moment. Trying out some alerts and some model confirmations for the CRUD operations. I will start with the create agent. If we go here and we try to create an agent here just to see that the CRUD operation works, at rocket.com, pick a section, and again also testing to see that failure to create a complete record will also cause in what kind of alert. So when you try to update that without the fee or the cells, first of all the model comes in whether you want to create the agent and you say yes, but the record is not saved because we had skipped some sections. So and it redirects back to the agent list. However, when we do enter everything correctly and let's see whether it actually works. Just pick that and you can pick that, you can pick that cells and you try to save. The model pops up again. Are you sure you want to create? You say yes, and the record is saved successfully. So for the CRUD, we can try the delete as well. Another one is delete. The model pops up as well, asking whether we are sure we want to delete. If we say no, it still stays on the page. And if we say yes, the agent is deleted successfully. His name was Al something, and his name is now gone, and the agent is deleted successfully. And then just to confirm, we can go to the MongoDB to ensure there is no Al that exists. And as you can see, the first name is Tanim, which means the name Al who was here before has disappeared from both the front end and the database. We could also try out the submit function. So we'll go back to the agent home. Let's go back to the admin home where we were earlier on and try out the same notifications and models on the submit section in the transactions. Maybe we have an agent here and we select the agent here from the drop down, which gives us the name and the ID as was the requirement. Maybe if we use the agent that we just formed right now and we submit, the model pops up asking us whether you want to add this transaction. If you say no, it goes away. If you say yes, it tells you added successfully, and when you reload the page, this guy shows up. This page also shows the last 10 transactions, beginning with the person we've just added right now. So it reflects the names in full, the amount, and the date, which was the requirement that the date they should be sorted by the last 10 transactions that have occurred. If we go back to agent management page, there was the requirement that the create agent link be moved to this page, where it originally was in the create page, the create and update employee record, and it was also in the navbar. So this has been moved to the agent list page. Next was to ensure that MongoDB contains all the session tokens. To start that off is the schema for the sessions, which is here, and required the user ID, session token, and the date. And in our MongoDB, go to sessions, and the data is there. This is all the data, all the logins I've been using, and maybe we could go to the very last one that we are using right now, which is this, which is that at the end. And then we need to check that the token is saved as a cookie, so we can come here and inspect the page. Under applications, if we go to the cookies and check, the session token is there and the user ID is there, giving us all the information we require for and the name also of the user is also there, all the information that we require. And then just to confirm that the session and the cookies that we had are actually posted to the backend, we can do that by checking the post. We can do that by taking the object ID, because it's supposed to come in and the path parameters. So API dot, the root is session, and the user ID was supposed to be taken, which we've used Jon Snow's user ID. User ID is supposed to be taken as a path param in the URL, and that gives us the correct status of the token, gives us the status and gives us the token itself, and tells us that the session has been saved successfully. So that information is there should we need it. Likewise, if we were to choose to also check the token and validate that it is actually exists and it's valid, we can do a get, and I had done this before, the token, and if you run it, it brings you the information as required, that the token is okay, and it's valid. It gives you the user and the ID of the user. And this token information, I got it from the token information entered here in the path parameter. I got it from here in the MongoDB. I just picked this and pasted that just to ensure that it is valid. And also, if it is not valid, it also shows up. If it is not valid, maybe let's remove that. It also shows up and says that the token is invalid. And so what happens then in the front end is the user will be kicked to the login page and told to log in afresh. Moving on from that, the next thing that was supposed to also happen here, I will close this, is to ensure that the transactions page is loading and it is also working. Shows the last 10 transactions, and should you try to add any transactions, that the amount here it only accepts positive numbers, that when you select an agent, both the first and the last name and the agent ID appear, and when you submit, the model comes up and helps you to submit the agent, and the alert for the transaction being submitted successfully also occurs. I then created a model which was used in record list. Here it is imported at the top, and which was used also in transactions. Here also imported at the top. Next, I worked on the transactions page. This is the login. Collapse those and that. Basically, for this is because the requirement was to get the agent by ID and not by name. First, for each transaction, we had to go get the IDs from the transaction by retrieving the whole list of agents. Then after retrieving the list of agents, then get the IDs of the transactions and match the ID of the transactions to the ID in the agent table, which is what we did in 76. And then after matching them, retrieve the agents for whom the transaction ID matches the agent ID, and that now starts appearing from line 78 as you go downwards, and in line 87 now is collating the information. After getting the agent ID, now we add the amount, then we add the date, and that is how the table here was created. Likewise, the route for transactions, when it comes to the transaction, the requirement is that especially in the that this comes to the table, I will close this, that it requires that the amount and the agent are selected. So that is what this route is, that the amount and the agent ID, which again appears in the drop down arrow, are selected, which goes on to populate the table. And then lastly, moving on to the sessions and the tokens. The back-end route for the session tokens, for the sessions, is here. This is the instruction on how to create session tokens. So when the request is received, the first thing it looks at in line 121 is there a user ID that it can use. So it takes the user ID and generates a new session token, which is generated over here. We already have the session schema here, which tells us the session token ID and the expiry date, which is 24 hours. Then the handler then goes in to try and find an existing session for the user who is trying to log in from the database using the session find one updates. This is the database where we are storing all of the sessions. If it goes in there and finds the session and the user, it returns with a successful success that it has received the session. If no, and that is here in line 132, if there is no session which is found, it then goes ahead and creates a new session and creates a new token for the user, and responds with the message that a new token has been created, and it gives the token that is for that session. Moving on to the validate token route. This is a get route which is supposed to provide token validation. So in the first place, a request is logged where the token is being searched for, and this token is going to be looked for in the sessions database. So when it goes into the session database, the exact parameter that it's looking for is the session. Once it finds that a session that it's looking for exists, it then goes ahead and retrieves the user who is associated with that session, that is in line 160. It goes ahead and tries to find the user associated with that session, and if the user exists, then it returns a 200 status telling us that it's okay, and the user is found. This is the user information, and that the session exists. That in terms of validity, the session actually does exist, If it goes in and does not, it tells us the token is invalid and that the validity is false, and so no user exists. Thank you very much, and that is the end of my presentation for today.